Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of With All Due Respect. We are your hosts. I'm Ryan Shead. That's Marcus Flowers. Brother, how are you doing?
I am optimistic today, brother. Optimistic because MAGA's crazy is starting to show more and more, and people are seeing it, and they're like, "What
I'm
is it?
telling you.
Is this what we're really doing?" So, optimism for the first time in a little while. I'll put it that.
My mental health is feeling good today because I didn't watch the State of the Union. I just waited for the clips to come out, the highlights, and it looked just as crazy as I thought it would be.
I think that line stretches around the corner, brother, because I didn't watch it either.
Sure
and I know
does.
a lot of other people that didn't watch it because I was watching them on their live streams
Yep.
talking about it. So,
Yep. And speaking of people who didn't watch or attend the State of the Union, we have Rep. Veronica Escobar, who is a representative in Texas. We got connected after the airspace over El Paso was shut down. And the shocking part to me was Rep. Escobar had no idea, among many other people within the city and the state government. So thank you so much, ma'am, for coming on the show. And for any of you who don't know who this amazing person is, she's the first woman to represent El Paso and a key voice on border issues, immigration, healthcare, and gun safety as a member of the House Appropriations Committee, Congressional Hispanic Caucus, and former Democratic Policy and Communications Committee co-chair. And there's many more, honestly. We just had to limit it down because we only have you for 30 minutes. So thank you, ma'am, for joining us.
can't list all of your accolades today because we'll be here for a while.
It is such a pleasure to be with both of you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am.
For joining us.
So, of course, we're going to talk about the State of the Union and some of the aftermath from it, but we also want to talk about your campaign, because you're running for office again. You guys get to do this every 2 years. Oh boy. But that means you get to raise more money. And once again, just want to remind everybody, almost every Democratic candidate is going to have a union bug on all of their campaign materials and merch. And that means that they're supporting a union print shop, high-paying jobs, at least usually at least $15 an hour or more. So when you're supporting a Democratic candidate and sending them your money, you are also supporting higher-paying jobs, which most Republicans get their stuff printed at the cheapest place possible so they can get the most amount of stuff, which is why you usually end up seeing twice the amount of signs, because they don't pay what people like Rep. Escobar do for their stuff. So
absolutely.
Just a reminder for you folks out there of how the game is really played. Yep. So let's start off with border security.
Yeah.
Because it is so directly tied to immigration and these ICE operations that we're seeing nationwide right now. So what's your take as the voice of immigration and the border right now up at the Capitol on how his speech aligned with the actual challenges you're seeing in Texas as a border state in El Paso?
Yeah, great question. El Paso is literally right on the US-Mexico border. And so my community has for eons been at the center of the movement of people and goods back and forth across that border and that skinny little river called the Rio Grande. And I will tell you this, border security is important to all of us.
Yep.
It's not just important to Republicans, it's important to Democrats, and it's important to people like me who live on the US-Mexico border. No one wants a secure border more than those of us who live there.
Yep.
But the dysfunction, frankly, of Congress and the willingness of politicians to take advantage of the fact that we've not had immigration reform in 40 years has created a situation where Trump played on people's fears. And now he's using the Department of Homeland Security not to keep people safe, but to go after U.S. citizens. We've seen it with our own eyes, what's happened in Minneapolis and Chicago, in other American cities. They're using our money to fund these massive detention facilities. The one in El Paso, a private contractor is getting $1.24 billion with a B, to run a tent city. That's money that could go.
A tent city?
That's right. We calculated we could, as a federal government, just with the money for that one facility, we could solve veterans' homelessness for 4 years in a row. So it is this warped sense of priorities this not keeping us safe and fundamentally not solving the problem. I have a bipartisan bill that would address the border, that would reform our broken immigration system, and that would treat this issue with the seriousness that it deserves.
And I know you got some pushback from Democrats because you introduced that bill, I believe, in 23, right?
That's right.
So have any of those people that were pushing back a few years ago, have they now started kind of turning your way?
Yes.
Okay.
And I will tell you, I am just as critical of my own party as I am of Republicans on
Yep.
not addressing this. We have to work across the aisle on an issue that's this tough.
Yep.
And it's compromising is not surrendering. Compromising is wanting to take steps forward and solving an issue. And my view is the bipartisan bill that my colleague Maria Salazar and I put together, it is a step. It's a big step, but it is one step. And once we get this piece of legislation passed by Congress and signed by the president, whether it's this president or the next president, then we can continue reforming our outdated laws. But
Yeah.
this is an important first step.
You just made me think of something my old man used to tell me a lot growing up. He says sometimes reaching an agreement is more important than winning.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I wish more politicians, especially when they finally get to the Capitol, I just wish more would kind of adopt that, because sometimes it's not about I was right. It's not about the internet clicks, not about a viral moment. It's just about getting the job done.
Yeah, that's right. And unfortunately, right now we live in a world where politicians and some people in power want us to fight each other, hate each other. They benefit from the division that creates a major distraction. And it's not good for us. It's not good for the country, and it doesn't help us solve problems.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And I
Thank you,
agree
man.
with that totally. I mean, I have a lot of, having been a candidate myself and run a pretty decent race that ended up not winning against Marjorie Taylor Greene back in the 22 cycle. I got a lot of friends up on the Hill, and we talk about some of those issues where, you'll have some Republican members of Congress who are completely performative for the cameras, and then behind closed doors, they'll have serious conversations. And Rep. Escobar, I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you're using your power on the Appropriations Committee role to push back on some of that performance stuff and get things done when it comes to cuts to healthcare and things like reproductive rights and things like that. How are you communicating with your colleagues across the aisle and on the Democratic side of the House?
Yeah, great question. Part of what is important in legislating and in trying to solve these issues is talking to one another like human beings. And there are some colleagues, frankly, on both sides of the aisle, who refuse to talk to the person on the opposite side of the aisle. Well, unless we have complete control of everything, that means we're not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of folks, a lot more folks, I think, than Americans know or see on TV who actually talk to one another and try to work things out. That has gotten harder, though, I will tell you. And I think for a lot of Republican colleagues, to be perfectly candid, they are really afraid of their voters right now.
Oh,
And political violence is terrifying. It's at an all-time high.
Yep.
But also when you have a president of the United States that with a tweet or with a post on Truth Social can turn the ire of millions of Americans against one person, that is a scary place to be for people. And if you don't have a grown-up in the White House who wants to govern, if you have someone in the White House who literally wants to give orders and wants to bring people to their knees, this is the result. And so there are times actually when I feel empathy for some of my Republican colleagues, but this is not a job for
Faint
the
of heart.
weak.
Faint of heart.
This is if you want this job, you better be willing to
You
get
asked for the
things done.
microphone.
You asked
Absolutely.
for it. You got to get it done.
Absolutely. And just to put a fine point on that, Rep. Escobar, I spent this past weekend out on the campaign trail talking to the Democratic Party of Georgia, and I did that to get them to go ahead and endorse Sean Harris. General Harris was running for Marjorie Taylor's old seat, the seat that I ran for, in a jungle primary where there's 17 Republicans and just one Democrat. So we've got an opportunity to actually send shockwaves through the political world and win this seat. But the reason I was there speaking on his behalf is because he was up in the very northwest corner of Georgia after receiving so many death threats, just like I received on the campaign trail, wearing a ballistic vest. So I know that fear is real. I know what you're saying has happened because it's happened to me. And I definitely see it on the other side when I tell people, look, the fear is real, and I get it. But government is one of those things. It's serious business for serious people. And if you don't have a servant's heart and you're not in it for the right reasons, it can be overwhelming, I think.
And let me touch on this for other people that may not be in politics, but think, oh, politics doesn't affect you. If you watch the Super Bowl halftime show with Bad Bunny, you may have noticed that he had been wearing a bulletproof vest for a week or two leading up to the show. And if you go look at him in an award show, they had to sit his family away from him because he was too afraid that they would do something to their family trying to get him. So if you think that politics wasn't a major factor in those threats that he was getting and all the hate and vitriol we saw leading up to it, and Turning Point USA using him as their selling point for their pre-recorded show, it's not just politicians walking around with vests. It's public figures, it's musicians, it's actors, it's whatever, because they came out and said, I'm not okay with this man that is in the White House right now representing our country. And that is what's getting them threats.
It's terrible. And again, all of this division and political violence and hatred, it is a distraction. I mean, there are serious consequences to it, but it distracts us as a country from what needs to happen so that we have a more prosperous country for everyone, where we protect our rights, where we are a competitive nation. That's what we should be focused on, not hating one another.
100%.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you was gun safety is something that I tend to focus on a lot. I know Marcus does too. But you have a position where you can really do something about that. But watching the clips from the State of the Union, because once again, Rep. Escobar didn't go, and I'm going to tell you why I love the fact that you didn't. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you right now. So I'm seeing Senator Mark Kelly attacked and used. Let's call it what it is. He's being used today to say, look, he's in Arizona, my home state, and he doesn't care about immigrants because he didn't stand up. So one of the reasons that I love the fact that you didn't go to the State of the Union is because you didn't allow yourself to be used today. Because that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing, they're going after Ilhan Omar because she did exactly what the white representatives did a few years ago to Joe Biden. And they thought that was fine. But apparently when we do it, when our side does it, or a woman of color does it, that's not okay. So it's like they don't like when we play the same game. And now that we're getting to that point, and you said something to me in the green room that I love. You said, I'm not messing around. And we need more representatives like, you know what? I'm not messing around. I'm not going to allow you to use me for your political propaganda, which is exactly what he did. He asked that question because he knew that they weren't going to stand up, and they knew they were going to have a viral moment and all of his supporters are buying it. See, they don't care about America. No, we do. The difference is that people like Mark Kelly and Rep. Escobar would rather spend the billions of dollars that we're wasting with a wall and ICE operations and all that stuff to actually make the process make sense. So maybe instead of 6 years to become a citizen, it could be 6 months to a year. And then maybe we won't have the giant backlog that we have. And maybe if we hired more people and instead of building concentration camps, how about we build processing centers instead? So
Put
I
more
love the
judges
fact
down there to get those people processed through.
Yep. And as a former judge, that again, I love the fact that we have women and people like you in these positions because you've done it. You've been a judge, you've sat there, you've made those decisions before. So when you come to Congress, you know exactly what you're looking for, you know exactly what you're trying to fix. So with that all in mind, how do you feel gun safety is resonating with the people of your district, especially as two states, Arizona and Texas? We have pretty lax gun laws, I think, in both states, it's safe to say.
Georgia
Yeah.
too.
But with ICE and all these things going on, are you seeing any shift in how people view gun legislation?
Well, I will tell you, in my
Oh, sorry.
district, we had a horrific mass shooting where a man drove 10 hours from Allen, Texas to El Paso. And this was during the first Trump administration. And he specifically came to El Paso to target Latinos and immigrants. And 23 people were murdered and dozens of people were injured. So in El Paso, my community, which has a lot of gun owners, I mean, it's West Texas. I grew up with guns in the house. I grew up as a kid. My dad would take all of us. I have 4 brothers. We would go target shooting. And so guns, especially in West Texas, not unusual. But what my district recognizes is that, and we've been pretty consistent, but I think it's been even more intense since the Walmart shooting, is that it's not a bad thing to have reasonable, common sense gun safety laws, like locking up guns so that children don't get access to them, having simple safety precautions like that, understanding that semi-automatic weapons are intended to cause massive amounts of harm. Do we want those weapons in our neighborhoods? So my community has long wanted common sense gun safety legislation, and no one's saying we want to, we want to end gun ownership, at least not in my district.
Yeah.
What we are saying is we want common sense solutions that keep people safe, that at the same time preserve people's rights.
Yep.
I mean, we've been saying this for so many years,
Yeah.
Escobar, and Ryan and I are both veterans. I talked about it on the campaign trail. They talk about, oh, you're a gun grabber. I'm like, look, guys, I'm from Alabama originally, lived in Texas, lived in Georgia, spent a decade in combat zones. I'm not trying to take anyone's guns away. You have that constitutional right. Yes, you do. But all of those amendments have borders around them. They have borders around them. We know what M4s and AR styled rifles are used for because we used them in war. They are weapons of war. They're not for hunting. It's not for home protection. It's to cause the most amount of damage as far away as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And they can be altered from semi-auto to fully auto just by changing the lower receiver. But
I mean,
that's a discussion most people don't want to have.
Exactly. You saw what happened in Vegas at the,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That dude had an arsenal in that room.
Yeah.
One of the most powerful testimonies I've ever heard on this issue, back when I served on the House Judiciary Committee, we had a hearing about gun violence, and I invited one of the trauma surgeons from our public hospital to come and testify. And what he described, what he saw those bullets do to human flesh, to human bone, to nerves. It was so clear that he was very traumatized by what he witnessed, what he saw, what his patients lived through. I think if we amplified those stories, I don't understand how folks can't have empathy as a result of how people's lives have been shattered and their bodies have been shattered by these weapons.
Because that should be more powerful. That's not a politician. That's a doctor, a trauma surgeon that's telling you, this is what I saw. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
And we need to do something.
Yeah.
That's not political. I'm
right.
telling you what I saw, and I'm not telling you how to fix it. I don't know how, but we need to do something.
No, I agree with that 100%. These are weapons of war.
Yeah.
These AR styled rifles, they are designed to eliminate a threat, literally
Or
eliminate
multiple.
them and tear a body.
Yeah.
We've seen I've seen what they do as well. You don't need to be a trauma surgeon to see people coming off the battlefield with these injuries, and they're going to be bad outcomes just seeing what they've done to your body. I'm talking loss of limbs.
And you know what? I'm going to challenge people. I know so many of us felt a little traumatized after witnessing the Charlie Kirk video. And as much as that shouldn't have happened, Marcus and I happened to be live, so we didn't put it on the screen. We decided not to, but it was happening while we were live.
Right.
And as two people who have seen those kind of things, we instantly knew
what the outcome was going to be.
If that was what we said was, if that's a real video, he didn't make it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, unfortunately, it turned out to be true. And it was like, even that didn't shift their opinions.
Yeah.
But just that one shot, that one individual, now take that same feeling you had watching that video and times it by 30.
Yeah.
And that's what a surgeon that's telling us their story, that's what they went through.
Yeah.
They're watching that in real time, and they're not watching it on a 2D screen. They're seeing it in person. So imagine how traumatized those people are, the first responders, all the people that have to show up and clean up the aftermath.
Oh yeah. After the shooting, obviously I went to dozens of funerals after the mass shooting in El Paso, and the trauma that I saw in the first responders who attended many of those funerals as well. What we are doing to one another is unbelievable because of our refusal to act.
Yep.
And until it happens in your community or to someone you love, you do not understand the impact.
Yeah. Or witness the emotional impact as well. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I lost you guys there for a second.
Uh-oh. Okay. Well, so I'm going to move on to the next question because we've only got about 6 minutes left here. As a member of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, what solutions have you all come up with that we could do better at the border?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to plug my bill.
Please.
The Dignity Act of 2025, which is bipartisan. And get this, I have 20 Republicans and 20 Democrats on that bill so far. It is a fully bipartisan bill. We are growing the number of co-sponsors, and it does reform not just what's happening inside of the country, but it reforms asylum and it reforms how we operate at the border. Part of the big issue, the Republicans like to play the videos of thousands of people arriving at the border, and that absolutely did happen.
Yeah.
But part of what they don't talk about is, in the United States, with our broken immigration system today, there really is only one line. They keep saying get in line. There's one line for immigrants to get into, and that's asylum. And in order to request asylum, you have to step foot on American soil. So in some ways, our existing laws incentivized that. But if you open up legal pathways, and if you allow people to request asylum from their home country, which both of those things my bill does, you completely change the dynamic. It's not going to solve everything. We have multiple facets of the bill that we think would create a far more orderly system of immigration and reform the border as well as asylum. But we can do this. And the Dignity Act of 2025 proves not only are those solutions there, but they're possible on a bipartisan basis.
It's common sense. If you can get half of the work done or more than half of the work done at the consulate before they travel, I mean, it almost seems like it should be going on.
Those are kind of things you'd think we'd already be doing.
You'd think it's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
And so we can fix this. The question is, are there enough of us who want to fix this?
Yeah.
That's it. It's been used as a political football for so long.
Decades.
Yeah.
It'd be getting rid of one of their favorite talking points.
Right.
That they used to get elected.
There's nowhere for anybody to hide. This is a bipartisan bill that has growing support. get on the solution train with us and let's
Yep.
solve this.
Or stop talking.
You hear that,
Yeah,
Democrats out in the world, all the rest of you representatives, hop on this bill,
Telling you.
Congresswoman Escobar. She's got the right idea. A common sense solution to a problem that's shouldn't be a problem, but
Mhm.
you can definitely get it fixed.
Yeah.
Right now, I kind of want to switch gears, Congresswoman, just a little bit. We're going to go back to the State of the Union a little bit, but given your work on the Armed Services Committee, you're sitting here talking with two veterans. What do you think about Trump's comments from the State of the Union on the military and vets and the support in the wake of all of the things that they're trying to do to take away veterans' health care, take away their benefits? Can you give us your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I gave an example earlier in our conversation of how much money is being spent on a tent city immigration detention facility in my district, $1.24 billion. There are a myriad of options for us to use that money. Even if all we did was focus on veterans, we could solve veterans' homelessness. We could hire far more physicians for the VA, specialists, subspecialists, you name it.
Yeah.
We have to show veterans how we feel, not through our words, but through our budget and through our policies. And this administration, when Donald Trump was a candidate, he promised to end forever wars. But here we are getting entangled all over the globe and using our military in a way that I feel is irresponsible on the border.
Yes,
We have
ma'am.
active duty service members basically walking up and down the Rio Grande patrolling the border. Fort Bliss, I want those active duty soldiers back on their tanks. I want them mission ready. I do not want to degrade our readiness, but I also we should not be looking for conflicts across the globe.
Yes.
And the best way for us to respect our active duty military is to have a strong State Department that focuses on diplomacy and doesn't send our young men and women overseas to begin more conflicts. So,
Couldn't agree more.
I think he not only has he not kept his promises, but we're seeing a degradation of services for veterans and a misuse of active duty military, and not as much of an emphasis as many of us would like on moving those resources to our veterans and their families who need them. So this administration has left a lot to be desired, and that's the nice way of saying it.
A lot to be desired. And luckily, I think a judge stepped in and halted that decision right now. But you see it time and time again when Republicans get in office. I feel like veterans are always the low-hanging fruit that they go after first. And one of the things I talk about is you have to understand the true cost of wars. It's not bombs, bullets, tanks, and aircraft and aircraft carriers. That's part of the cost of war.
Right.
But it's about those people who swore that oath to support and defend the Constitution. When they come back home with scars, both seen and unseen, they need to be taken care of.
That's right.
And some of these issues are lifelong.
Yeah.
And no amount of medicine is going to take away what some of us have seen in war zones.
Yeah.
Or
It's
money.
not going to do it. It may make life a little bit better, but that doesn't mean you pull their compensation away from them just because they feel better on some days. They're living with these things for the rest of their lives.
And I'm going to tell you something that most veterans will tell you. I would give back the monthly stipend I get for my back to just not live with chronic pain. Just that one thing. And I have other things, but just that one thing, you can take all this money back. I just want a good back. And so, those are the things that people don't see. And unfortunately, there are a lot of things that us vets deal with, whether it's PTSD, depression, addiction, whatever. It's all linked in, and you don't see it because you're not missing a leg, you're not missing an arm, you don't have scars on your face, but you got a lot of stuff going on inside. And for some reason, Americans don't seem to understand that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everything that you do up there, ma'am. Before we let you get back to work at the Capitol, we actually had somebody had a question I just wanted to ask real quick because it's good information. So where can they find a draft of your bill because
Oh,
we have nerds on here like myself that want to read those things and share it.
I love it. You can read the summary as well as the actual bill. It's on my website, escobar.house.gov. And it's, you may have to, I can't remember exactly where it is on the website, but we highlight it pretty frequently. So I
Yeah,
think
we
you
should be
can
able to
go
put it in
to
the comment in
issues.
the yeah, we'll put it in the description too.
Okay, awesome,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
But yes, and you can always reach out to my office. Our DC phone number is on that website, and we can always email you that information. But it is on the website for sure.
And can they
Yeah,
donate at where's the
exactly.
donation site?
I was
Well,
going to say real quick, she's
my
also running a campaign.
that's my
Yeah,
campaign
yeah.
page, and it's my name, veronicaescobar.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Definitely. Go
thank you
give.
so much. Yeah,
Thank
Marcus,
you both. I appreciate you
Go
so
give.
much.
Thank you for joining us. And people, go out, give to Rep Escobar. We need more Rep Escobars in Congress. And we need to keep her there. She's doing a fantastic job.
yes,
Rep Escobar, again, thank you for joining us today.
yes.
We
If
really
there's
Thank
anything
you
we
all
can
for
do,
what
please
you do.
please
Would
let us
love to
know.
come back.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please do.
All
Anytime. You're always
Take
welcome.
care.
Thank
Thanks.
you too. Marcus and I hope you enjoyed that interview, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of With All Due Respect. Make sure you tune in next week. We've got another great guest for you.